Wisecrack, Jared again. It's time to chug some fight milk and crank your favorite Steve Winwood CD, because today we're talking about It's Always Sunny is great, in part because of what it's not, a traditional sitcom. Unlike the satisfying and sentimental narratives used in classic sitcoms, It's Always Sunny has spent much of its 12 seasons exploring what happens when a group of narcissistic sociopaths have their insane ideas bankrolled by a troll-shaped millionaire. Rather than following customary tropes used by shows like Cheers, Friends, or How I Met Your Mother, It's Always Sunny actively subverts them, making it the perfect anti-sitcom.
Totally and completely badass.
Welcome to this Wisecrack Edition on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And as always, spoilers ahead. It's Always Sunny follows the gang, 5 individuals who each serve a particular purpose in the steadily collapsing ecosystem that is Patty's pub. There's Charlie, Patty's janitor, and a walking combination of bleach fumes, illiteracy, cat food, romantic obsession, and a surprisingly impressive musical ability.
I just wanna tell you all, go yourself.
There's Mac, the official security of Patty's, and a man that balances his thinly veiled homosexuality with an aggressively dogmatic Catholic moralism.
I failed you! I failed God! Get me good. Whoa, hello.
There's Dennis, Patty's lead bartender, and the Patrick Bateman of South Philadelphia, equal parts sociopath, narcissist, and sex addict.
This chick is so in love with me, it's crazy.
Hi, Dennis. It's Kaylee. I was just calling to let you know that I hope you die.
There's Dee, failed character actress, twin sister of Dennis, and the target of the collective rage and hatred of the rest of the gang.
Are we supposed to pretend like you're not dressed like a giant bird?
I mean, if you're gonna be sexy, don't dress like a bird.
I didn't dress like a bird. I'm clearly an angel.
No.
And Frank. If the spirit of nihilistic greed was a 4'11" bald man who spent his weekends having sex in a dumpster behind a Wendy's, this is what it would look like. Yeah! One of the key characteristics of It's Always Sunny is its lack of normal character development. Most sitcoms follow a simple formula: take broken, shitty people and watch them develop into lovable grown-ups. In How I Met Your Mother, we see Barney Stinson go from a borderline sociopath to a moralistic single father who shames young women for their attire.
You young ladies need to go home, put on some decent clothes, and take a good hard look at your lives.
In Friends, we see Joey develop from a struggling actor with the intellectual capacity of an unplugged Sega Genesis to a successful actor who could potentially test out of 9th grade English, and who could forget Rachel's journey from worst barista on the Eastern Seaboard to a key player in the fashion industry.
You got the job!
Progress, indeed. Unlike its predecessors, It's Always Sunny chooses instead to focus on a group of people who believe that personal development is for quitters. Quitters, in this context, also means anyone whose personality isn't shaped by a mix of functional alcoholism, narcissistic personality disorder, and the occasional crack binge.
I'm a recovering crackhead. This is my retarded sister that I take care of. I'd like some welfare, please.
Throughout 12 seasons, the gang doesn't develop in so much as they play a game of chicken with all attempts at purpose and growth. The show has, for the most part, managed to spend 12 seasons exploring the life of the gang without any positive character development. When Frank first encounters the gang, he is a recent divorcee attempting to reconnect with his children and donate some of his massive wealth to charity.
I hate the kind of person that your whore mother turned me into. The big house, the big car, I'm giving it all away.
However, within hours of this, Frank ends up pretending to be a wheelchair-bound quadriplegic to get attention from strippers. Frank soon becomes a man without limits, spiraling further and further and oh so much further into the depths of depravity.
Trying to push myself, I want to see how far I can go.
During season 6, Dee ends up pregnant and lets the guys know that one of them put the baby in her.
Oh, shit.
Even though it turns out this was just a ploy for attention, Dee's pregnancy leads the gang to reconsider their lives. Dennis shows signs of genuine care for his sister's child.
You are standing on top of a rolling chair. You're gonna go flying through that window, for God's sakes.
And Charlie and Mac contemplate raising a kid.
We have wonderful news. Charlie and I have decided that we are going to be the father of this child.
This all leads to a beautiful slow motion scene of Dee holding her newborn child. But right as we think the beer-soaked nihilism has been replaced by baby vomit-colored sentimentality, Dee lets the gang know that none of them are the father.
Oh yeah, the tranny's the dad.
The gang quickly snaps out of it.
You know, a baby would have screwed up our chemistry.
It might have.
Right?
It might have, yeah.
Yeah, we got a good thing going. Why blow it with a baby?
Rather than falling into the traditional trope in which a baby magically changes people, apologies to Barney Stinson, the gang remains the same.
Do we pop you back in there, or are you done having babies, or what's going on?
Yeah, can you take me to go get a beer? Because I need a beer.
By season 7, it seemed as if the show had run out of ways for the characters to avoid progress. But instead of showing some form of personal or emotional growth, they instead decided to focus on Mac's, physical growth.
You look fat as
All because Dee said he didn't look like a real bodybuilder.
You never, ever once in your life have looked like that.
Aside from the veritable buffet of Mac got fat jokes, this also satirizes the standard sitcom model in which characters somehow always look the exact same from season to season, even as we are meant to believe that they are aging.
We're getting older. We're not gonna look 20 forever.
No, I am gonna look 20 forever, Mac, because the older I get, the more vigilant I become.
Instead of remaining an ageless sitcom trope, Mac instead eats his way to disease. The show confronts this lack of development in the season 10 episode, The Gang Misses the Boat, in which the gang literally misses out on an exclusive boat party and leads the rest of them to reflect on the ways in which they've missed out in life. This leads Dennis to acknowledging the hard fact about what they've become.
We have literally and figuratively missed the boat.
While Frank finds a silver lining to their collective madness.
I think we're just hitting our stride.
This continued failure isn't just for the gang. In fact, their friends and associates often deal with the worst consequences of their antics. Take Rickety Cricket. When he first enters the world of Patty's Pub, he's a handsome young priest. After the gang takes advantage of his lingering love for Dee, he ends up alone and out of the priesthood. Cricket quickly ends up homeless and takes the fall for the gang's misadventures with the mafia, gets hunted by Mac and Dennis,
We're gonna hunt you.
What?
has half of his face burned off,
Put it back on! Put it on! Put it back on!
and ultimately ends up a Patty's bathroom regular.
You guys mind if I go in the bathroom and smoke some PCP?
Then there's Bill Ponderosa, whose affair with Dee sets him on a downward spiral, and eventually asks his AA sponsor Frank to let him drink himself to death.
I'm celebrating today, baby. What's a special occasion?
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill myself.
And to add good measure, Bill's son ends up becoming a goth cocaine dealer.
Jesus, son, what'd you cut this with?
Shut up, bitch.
Your son is your dealer.
He's reliable.
Even a character that usually beats the gang at their own game, the lawyer, eventually has his right eyeball devoured by a bird. The lawyer's fate as a Cyclops shows once and for all that no one can flirt with the gang for long without being irrevocably changed for the worse. Moral messages are a common theme in sitcoms, from Cheers' early episodes about bar-based homophobia to Friends' exploration of the space between being in a relationship and cheating. The sitcom has a tendency to periodically become an after-school special.
Well, I wish the whole world could learn that.
It's Always Sunny explores a group of friends with a collective moral code that is somewhere between Bernie Madoff's financial principles and Lil Wayne's views towards substance abuse.
I don't care if it was heroin in my cup. It's in my cup. You.
And whenever morality does come up, it's usually as a means to their own nefarious ends. In its first season, the show wasted no time in tackling the abortion issue, when Mac, while on one of his Catholic crusades, meets a pro-life activist. Mac protests Planned Parenthood with her, mostly as a means to get laid, before she tells him,
I'm pregnant!
What?
I'm pregnant!
You gotta get an abortion!
In season 7, Dennis attempts to find meaning in life after opening up about the God-shaped hole in his heart.
I like to call it my God hole. And I think a lot of people in this world, they fill it with religion. But I don't believe in God.
But you want to fill it with pussy.
Yeah.
This search for meaning ends with Dennis giving an emotional but bogus eulogy at the funeral for Dee's baby. And in case a baby funeral makes you sad, don't worry. The casket was actually filled with the corpse of a dead dog that Frank found, and the child never even existed. Dennis is left accepting his own moral nihilism and lack of emotion. That is until Frank tricks him into digging up his mother's corpse. Throughout the series, the gang explores a number of pertinent ethical issues, consistently robbing them of any inherent goodness. rescuing a dumpster baby only to take it to a tanning bed, exploiting welfare by becoming crack addicts, using a job as a children's basketball coach to teach lessons about physical assault, and getting Mac's dad killed by trying to prove his innocence. The gang even uses Bill Ponderosa's attempt at a booze-induced suicide for their own gain when they take a life insurance policy out on him.
If he's gonna do it anyway, we might as well make a little money off of it.
That's dark.
Yeah, I know.
At no point are the gang's moral failings clearer than when Mac takes them on an all-Christian cruise organized by a gay-friendly congregation, though Mac fails to realize this even after joining their musical theater show. The trip ends with the gang defending themselves from the prospect of an eternity in hell. In one day on the boat, Dee breaks a woman's nose at the cruise talent show, Frank and Charlie get busted for sneaking a bar's worth of booze onto the boat and then getting drunk on boat fuel, Dennis attempts to sexually entrap an 18-year-old girl, and Mac, finally, realizes that this cruise is being hosted by two gay men and begs God to rain down lightning on them. The gang then almost drowns to death in an act of collective suicide while in boat jail. And later we learn that their reckoning with God was just a post-cruise meeting with insurance adjusters.
Can you mark down in your report that I'm not gay, because I'm not?
What do you mean you're not gay?
He's gay.
If there's one trope we've learned to expect from the comedic sitcom, it's the classic will they or won't they, romantic tension drawn out over multiple seasons. For Scrubs, it's the constant back and forth of JD and Elliot. For Friends, we have the nausea-inducing decade of Ross and Rachel, and Chandler and Monica, and Joey and Roasted Poultry. And of course, in How I Met Your Mother, we have the romantic saga of Ted and Robin, and Barney and Robin, and Ted and the Mother, and Ted and Robin again. The gang pushes romance to the limits of dysfunction.
You proposing to me?
Let's take a quick tour of the romantic exploits of the gang. After his divorce from Dennis and Dee's mother, Frank indulges in the pay-for-play romance offered by prostitutes and strippers.
You are good
Frank also has a recurring romance with Artemis, who shares Frank's proclivities towards getting weird.
Don't judge me, this is art!
Mac's romantic journey is a string of attempts to assert his masculine heterosexual image against the gang's overt acknowledgement of his homosexuality.
I see where you guys are getting off the rails. That's not a penis. It's a fist.
This journey in sexual identity includes a relationship with a transitioning woman and a non-sexual PCP-fueled fling with party girl Dusty, until Mac finally admits to being gay in the most recent season.
I claim to be gay.
No, you don't get it.
There's a history behind it. I've been gay forever. Everybody knows it.
But rather than turning this into a cathartic moment, Mac only comes out for the sake of a scratch-off ticket worth $10,000.
Gay rich Mac!
Dee's romantic exploits might be the most pathetic of the gang. Largely a series of hookups that end with her being mocked by the gang, the show collects all these men together for her child's birth, including favorites like Gene Shortsky, the mentally retarded white rapper, Bill Ponderosa, and the old Korean man from the back of Mr. Kim's restaurant. Dee's one flirtation with sitcom romance is in the episode The Gang Misses the Boat, where her and Charlie hook up. This is quickly acknowledged to be a huge mistake.
Things to be normal again. We should go back in time.
Like way back in time.
A lot.
Dennis is the only member of the gang that experiences any romantic success, if success is evaluated by the metrics of his own horrifying system of seduction. If Dennis has a slightly less pathetic, if significantly more criminal romantic life than the others, this is largely due to his absence of emotion and inability to love. Though in the finale of season 12, it seems like he may have finally given up his system for the life of a family man. But more on that later. Charlie is the only member of the gang that flirts with monogamy, if we take monogamy to be a 15-year-old obsession with a waitress who has filed multiple restraining orders against him. While a traditional sitcom would make this obsession seem sweet, It's Always Sunny shows the dark side of rom-com love. Charlie's stalking of the waitress is a full-time job, and leads him to eventually write and produce a musical that he uses to propose to her. While his efforts to win her heart seem to be doomed, the show actually uses the trope of two people finally getting together in the most recent season. However, the show quickly gets back on course when Charlie finds himself annoyed with the waitress only hours after consummating over a decade of romantic desire. And soon after, Charlie is accusing the waitress of stalking him.
God! She's calling me again! She's like, she's totally stalking
you mean, D? What do I do here?
While for any other sitcom, Charlie's sexual victory would signify a Rachel and Ross level of romantic consummation, It's Always Sunny brutally subverts standard sitcom logic and gives a realistic take on what happens when obsessions become reality. At Patty's, there is no happily ever after. For the gang, any romantic achievement is just a reminder of their fundamental lack of ability to ever be truly happy. After spending 11 seasons avoiding reliance on any classical sitcom tropes, season 12 might have some thinking that the gang has finally been forced to grow up, especially as we have Dennis embody Sam Malone's closing moments on Cheers.
It's all right. We're closed.
The bar's done.
And at this point, the gang finally growing up feels like your long-term drug dealer all of a sudden inviting you to Bible study. Luckily, the show has figured out how to critique the outside world while letting the gang stay the same. And instead of selling out to network-style tropes, they managed to offer hilarious critiques of moralistic musicals and our recent obsession with true crime shows. They even get a little meta when they make a sitcom out of Mac and Charlie's moms, all while taking a jab at canned laughter.
The laughing tells me that it's funny.
They have timing.
So rest assured, your drug dealer probably won't be inviting you to church anytime soon. While there's no indication if Dennis is actually going to move to North Dakota to raise his son, the logic of the Patty's universe seems to indicate a low possibility of any actual growth.
Spit!
Hey, you!
What is wrong with you people?
Take it easy, Wisecrack. Thanks for watching. Peace. Hey Wisecrack, thanks for watching. There's plenty of shows out there that play with classic tropes and inject new life into them. So if you want to see us dive into more of them, consider supporting us on Patreon at the link in the description below. Doing these videos right requires a lot of effort. Hell, Always Sunny is 134 episodes. And while we love doing what we do, your support helps make it possible for us to do more. And in addition to a bunch of other good stuff, patrons get access to exclusive content, like my rant on Suicide Squad, our racy 8-bit philosophy video on VR porn, and more on the way. So click here to check us out on Patreon, become a supporter, and help us reach our new milestone. And if you're looking for another video to watch, click here to check out our Wisecrack Edition on BoJack Horseman. Hannibal Buress liked it, so maybe you will too. Be sure to subscribe and make sure to ring that bell. Peace, guys.